I had a couple in my office yesterday. Every time the wife would bring something up, the husband would flip it. Well, here's what you do, or let's look at it from my side. Round and round they went, pile on top of pile. And about 20 minutes in, I stopped them and I said, have you noticed? Do you see what's happening here? Neither one of you is yet to be heard. That's the moment that I want to talk about today, because the advice that everyone gives married couples, and if you've been married, you've probably heard this at least half a dozen times, the advice that makes me cringe almost every time is you two just need to communicate more. And no doubt, new couples walking in, they'll say, we don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to talk about anything. All we do is fight. So then we avoid talking to each other at all costs. So there's definitely a part of this that's knowing how to talk and learning that skill well. And I will come back to that later. But after 14 years of doing this work with married couples in my practice, I don't actually think talking is the biggest problem. We're talking while we're making dinner. We're talking while we're driving places, through texts, which is a whole nother topic for another day. We talk in the middle of arguments. In some sense, we're talking constantly. The problem isn't that we don't talk. The problem is that we don't know how to listen. Here are 5 moments where couples lose that skill and how to get it back. Number 4 might shock you the most. Number 5 is probably the most frustrating, even for couples who have been married a long time. So let's get into it. Number 1, we stop listening the moment that we get defensive or start preparing our defense. One of you finally worked up the courage to say, hey, when you said that thing in front of our friends yesterday, that really hurt. That really bothered me. And before they're even finished, we start, yeah, but you do that too, or you started it, or oh, that's not true. That's not even what happened or how that went down. The conversation, the OG conversation just got cut short. It became a different conversation altogether. Because why? We stopped listening. Here's the sneakier version of the same thing. Even when we're quiet, we're not actually listening. Reloading, if I can call it that. We're waiting for our turn the whole time, building our explanation for why we didn't mean it and telling our spouse, right, that they're just overreacting. And guess what we can't do at the same time? Listen and think of the next thing to say. It doesn't work. And intention doesn't erase the impact. If I step on your foot, I don't get to tell you that it didn't hurt because I didn't mean to do it. It still hurts. Your foot may still be blue as a result the next day. The fastest way to kill a conversation is to turn your spouse's pain into a courtroom where we collect evidence, we're building a case, and we're trying to win. Instead, you are going to be better off just asking, tell me more. What was that like for you? I want to make sure that I'm hearing you. I want to make sure that I understand. Because in marriage, in a long-term intimate relationship like the one that you and your wife, you and your husband are in, understanding is always more valuable than winning. Number 2, and here's the trap that I see with couples all the time. Your spouse says something that was hard to hear. It may have even stung a little, right? And the second that you go quiet and just listen, there's a part of you that panics on the inside and says, wait, if I don't push back right now, does that mean that I'm admitting that I was wrong and they're right? So instead of listening, you decide to interrupt. And what do you get in response? Say it with me. Let me finish. And then sometimes you do, and sometimes you still don't let them finish. Here's the truth that fixes this. Understanding is not the same as agreement. You can hear your spouse out completely without interrupting, no rebuttal loading up in your back pocket, and still not see it exactly the way that they do. That's why I remind my couples that there's always his reality, her reality, and the reality. So hearing them out just means that you're acknowledging their experience as real to them. That's it. You haven't lost the argument. You've just let them finish a sentence. I want you to try this next time. Hear your spouse out. Let them get all the way to the end before you say anything. You'll find out that agreeing was never actually required. Number 3, and this one changes everything. We confuse what our spouse did with who they are. Your husband might have missed an anniversary. Your wife lost her temper. One of you interrupts or says something hurtful. And our brain goes immediately to making it permanent. We pull out the action and we attach it to their character to mean, oh, he's so selfish. Oh, she's so disrespectful, right? They'll never change. And here's the thing. Your spouse can survive being wrong about a moment in time, but they likely can't survive being told that they're wrong at their core. That's why separating the incident from the person is major here. So instead of, you're so selfish, try this instead. In that moment, your reaction felt selfish to me. Do you hear it? Huge difference. One attacks your husband's identity, the other one addresses the behavior. More importantly, perhaps even one invites shame and the other one invites growth. And when moments like these stop turning into character flaws, guess what? Not only does your spouse become safer to talk to, they also become far more willing to actually make a change. Number 4, and this is the one that shocks people, silence isn't peace. When couples first come sit down with me, I tell them something that shocks most of them, most of the time. Because I say, I'm actually glad you're still fighting. No joke, you wouldn't believe the looks that I get. You'd think I lost my mind. But fighting tells me you still care enough to engage. You still think this is worth fighting for. You still believe that this relationship matters. Silence worries me more. It usually doesn't mean we're finally getting along. It just means I've stopped believing anything would change, so I stopped asking. I stopped bringing anything up for that reason. That is far more dangerous than conflict. Conflict in and of itself, as much as you may hate the word, I know I've heard it, conflict can be repaired. Silence, prolonged silence, just slowly turns two people who at one point in time used to really like each other into roommates that just simply share the same address. Don't be that couple. And I'm here to help you not to become that couple. Number 5, and this is the one that I said can be really frustrating for couples even when they've been married for decades. As a marriage therapist turned married couples coach, I wish that every married couple would fully embrace this one. Your spouse cannot read your mind. They don't know the hug before work helped your anxiety all day unless you tell them. They don't know that hearing your voice in the middle of the afternoon made your entire day better unless you tell them and unless they can hear you say it. They don't know what hurt, what disappointed you, what made you feel overlooked, again, unless you tell them that too. Keeping all of that on the inside isn't protecting your marriage, it's actually starving it. Feedback isn't criticism. It's just information. It's just giving your spouse the map instead of expecting them to guess the destination. The more clearly we communicate what helps us feel loved, the more clearly we allow them to hear it, the more opportunities we give our spouses to love us well, to care for us well, to do all the things in a better way. So here's your challenge this week. Don't go home trying to have 20 conversations with your wife, with your husband. Pick one. And in that one conversation, listen all the way to the end. No interrupting, no, yeah, but just listen. Because after 14 years of this work, here's what I believe. Most marriages don't need more words. They need better ears. They need better listening skills. I have a feeling your spouse might be one who's been waiting a long time to actually be and feel heard. So maybe this week, be the one who gives them that. Now, if you're hearing all of this and you're saying, all right, Danka, we got it. This is the listening piece. But honestly, we still do not know how to actually talk to each other well. You might say, we have a skills gap there. I was expecting some of you were going to say that. Here's the next video. I have a whole playlist that walks you through when to have a conversation, how to go about starting it, all the things. Go grab your spouse, watch it together, and I'll see you in there.